There we go. Christopher Boulder wrote a book by the name of Broken, and it's an amazing book that has taught me a lot about my own journey to masculinity, to manhood, trauma, transparency. And I'm excited to have him here with us today. Um, yeah, I'm very excited to have him here with us today. Um, and I have the privilege, Chris, if you could come up here for just one moment. So yeah, I have the opportunity to introduce you guys to him. Um, when I'm gonna be honest, when I was inspired and even charged with beginning to create material for men who had gone, were returning from being incarcerated, I knew nothing, absolutely nothing, because I'd never been in prison, I've never been incarcerated. And if there's a law being broken or a law, I'm like on the other side, like nowhere near it, because I can't go to jail. It would not be good. It would not be good. So I just try. It's like hell. I don't want to go. So I'm just trying to stay on the other side of this. Yeah, whatever it is, fear, wisdom, whatever you want to call it. I'm not want to go to jail, but I want to throw this out there, and many of you may know this. Question by show of hands: how many of you know someone who's close in proximity to you that has either been incarcerated or is incarcerated right now? I think that proves my point. I want that to sink in. All of us from different walks of life, different places, but have this commonality, this shared experience. I didn't realize how much of an issue this was. I knew it was an issue. I didn't know how much of an issue it was until I started talking with Chris and realizing, oh, this is really big. So not only is there a problem when men go into prison, if they're justly put there in the first place, there is this process that they have to rebuild their entire lives when they get out. And I don't know what Chris is going to talk about, so I won't go into deep here, but it's important. And I want us to lean, as we did with Darnell, as we did with Steve, please lean into this, because I believe there will be resources, information that's given, even if it's not for you, if you've never been incarcerated. All of us know someone within an arm's reach that has been incarcerated or who is currently incarcerated. And they will need the tools, the resources to ensure that they are successful. Not realizing that a lot of men who went to prison or who were incarcerated, you got tea and everything. I just, like, Dad, can I get some tea? Lord, I'm on the flyer too. Y'all, can I get some? Huh? Right. That's okay. Listen, just got me all, caught me all up. I ain't getting no tea. I like tea too. Right. He just holding the tea. I'm trying to lay this thing on and he's drinking tea. You're not even sorry. But this, and I just want to throw this statistic out there. For just for men of color, 50%, and it might be a little bit more, might be a little bit less at this moment, but approximately ballpark 50% of men of color have been or currently are incarcerated. What happens to those men once they go in, and who are they when they come out? There's a lack of support. There's a lack of systems. There's a lack of help. And oftentimes they wind up homeless, becoming reoffenders. So this is something that I know, I'll say it like this, is near and dear to my heart, but I also know that it's near and dear to the heart of God. I'll say that too, because I don't hear that message. I don't hear people saying that, and I don't hear people talking about it. I'll say it again, and I want y'all to put me on record. I believe that men being incarcerated, mass incarceration, is not only something that should be important to us, but I believe that this is something that is near and dear to the heart of God as well. I don't believe God is in throwing anybody away, but finding value in their lives. So anyway, I want to introduce you. I want this to the author of this book. His name is Christopher Boulder. Let's give it up for him. Thank you, bro. Can you try this?
Good. I don't need it. Just use this. The other man. Sweet. Good. All right. Fellas, how y'all been? Maybe it's not. Good. Whatever. How y'all really been? Like, how's the conference been thus far? How y'all feel? Y'all feel refreshed? You feel rejuvenated? You feel revived? You feel pumped? I mean, how y'all feel? I mean, y'all go home now, is y'all girl gonna look at y'all a little bit different? How she looked at y'all? Huh? I mean, y'all gonna be straight? Y'all good? Are y'all really good? Really good. Now, I'm Christopher Boulder. Of course, author of Broken. I do a lot of hats. I'm not up here to share with you guys about my hats. I'm up here to share with you about one hat that I particularly wore, and that was being a convicted felon. Me being incarcerated. How my life changed dramatically from the time when I dropped out of high school up into the part of where I escalated, hanging out in drug-infested areas, kicking it with the wrong crowds, and so forth. From that very moment, the reason why we're broken isn't important. The reason why I wrote the book is totally irrelevant to why you guys are sitting here listening to me today. The reason why I wrote the book because I got tired of always sharing the story verbally. So I want to give people the opportunity to read it for themselves. The most powerful part of you and I's being is our mind. So if I can just let your mind wander for the next 30 minutes. So I want you to do that today. Just let your mind wander. You have never been incarcerated, but I'm about to pitch you that. You've never probably experienced prison like I've experienced prison. But I want you to walk in my shoes just for a few minutes. Matter of fact, I want you to feel what I felt from the moment of when I went to court, how the process really lays out for you. You haven't experienced it, maybe somebody in your family. If you haven't experienced it, maybe one of your homeboys that are not sitting beside you today, either he's in prison or he's probably dead. One of the statistics are two. Robert just shared with you a statistic of 50%. He's actually 6% off. It's 56% of our men that are incarcerated. 56 men are incarcerated. I want you to statistically look at the numbers for a second. You just really fantasize these numbers. Out of 324 million people just in the U.S., 100 of them are roughly men, African American descent. I want to remind you that out of those 100 million men, a tenth of those either are in prison or have been convicted felons. 10% of our stratum have been through the chains and the barrels of hard labor and have made mistakes, trying to realign themselves to get back in life. But the way the system is designed makes it that much more tough. Not only is the system designed to make it that much more tougher for them, but they're black. Can we be real? So I want to share with you for a few moments about my life, how I came to be who I am today, because without it, I could be honest with you and tell you that vulnerability would take you places that pride won't. Your being vulnerable would take you places that pride would never mention to you. By my pride in my life, getting to where I am today, pride never mentioned to me that I could speak before men, the very ones that I seek validation from. When you read the book Broken, it's a book about somebody seeking affirmation and validation throughout my entire life from a missing father. My life about Broken it's a redemption story. It's cool. I mean, it's all right. But it's a redemption story of a young man going through a quest of a journey of seeking hope, seeking courage, and seeking affirmation from people who couldn't even affirm my destiny. See, the problem with a lot of people in life is that we're looking to shape our identity. We're looking to shape our purpose, but we're looking at the wrong source. It's okay to look, but if you're looking at the wrong source, it cripples your resources. And I was looking, of course, to the man, and he was looking to somebody else, and he was looking to somebody else. And that, of course, continued to cripple me, and it crippled my mental. It crippled my life to where I'm hanging out in the drug-infested area that's simply to be cool, hanging out with the boys. Didn't know nothing about selling no dope. Didn't know nothing about no baking soda and how to make it cook. Didn't know anything about any of that. Didn't know how to tote no pistol. Didn't know anything about watching my back. I just knew how to look the part, but I didn't know how to live it because I knew it wasn't my lifestyle. This wasn't my space. So I'm seeking affirmation from people who barely could even affirm themselves. They were just thankful to get up the next morning, go back out and try it again. And here I was, little as I was, feeling through high school, pedaling through high school. I was raised by my grandparents out of Kannapolis, North Carolina, an old country, small town right at Charlotte, right above Charlotte, about 20 minutes from Charlotte. And when I was being raised by them, they were very, very religious grandparents. And I love them dearly. Very religious, Pentecostal holiness church, if you will. Some of y'all might know something about that old background wood church, and we shout on the hardwood type floor. Y'all don't know about that. I'm in the wrong place, Ron. So that was my upbringing. That was my come up. The good thing was they had me in church. The rough part was it didn't teach me any practicality on how to be a man. It didn't teach me how to make it through high school, how to say no to drugs, how to succumb, how to sojourn through life. So I struggled a lot with masculinity. I struggled a lot with who I am. I struggled a lot in trying to just find and center me, because when you're being raised by grandparents, you had a mother birth you at the age of 12. You don't know your father. You're a little bit dysfunction in life. I grew up dysfunctional. My mom birthed me at the age of 12. She left me at the hospital. Just so randomly. My grandmother, she was sliding through to come see the baby. You know, they give them a little 3 days after you're born. And my grandmother was coming one of the days to come see me. And right at the time when she had come, the nurses in the back, they're going traumatic. They're screaming that the boy's mother left. My grandmother goes through all the precautions, go through all the necessary precautions and whatnot. Of course, she brings me in, and that's how I ended up being raised by my grandmother from birth. My grandmother was a fire brimstone preacher. That's all she knew, was just the breath of God. That's all they wanted to talk about, was the breath of God. I'm coming to her with algebra homework. The only thing she could tell me was to pray about it. She was just a fire brimstone preacher. Everything that I went through in life was about just pray about it. In other words, baby, I don't know. Just pray about it. So through life, I had my struggles when it came, especially to the educational piece. Like I tell you, I didn't have a father. I had my grandparents. They was of age, and we talking about X minus Y equals Z. Come on, bro, really? I mean, I'm showing this to my grandma, but she's looking at me like, what you want me to do? You the one in school. So when it came to being tutored and getting help, I didn't really seek out that help because, for one, I had too much pride. And secondly, man, I was ashamed. So if I can't get it at home, I know I'm not about to try to get it up in here. So school came really less important to me. School became less important. I began to really transition to start seeking my identity and purpose somewhere else, because I knew becoming a firefighter wasn't it. So after that, I began to just dropping out of school, hanging out with the wrong crowds. And as I began to hang out with the wrong crowd, you start making a little bit of paper. Yeah, some of y'all done made paper before, right? You know what it is, hanging out on the street corners, making a little paper. The paper come quick. I mean, it come real fast. And I worked a 9 to 5 before at Taco Bell. And I remember waiting 2 weeks for a check. And I'm like, bro, it ain't been but like 6 hours, and this almost weighs the same. I think I'm gonna stick with chasing this paper. And after that, one thing led to another, led to another. I got so greedy that the 6-hour money moment became too slow. I needed something quicker. So I yoked up with some old classmates of mine that I randomly talked to, randomly even associated with. Wouldn't even name them by name if I wanted to mention their name, and started connecting with these guys, and they did a thing called licks. Now, I'm in Chi-Town, so I know what y'all know what licks are, right? Come on, let's be real. I'm in Chicago. Come on. I know what y'all know what licks is. So we started doing licks, and I did one lick that changed my whole life. Licks are supposed to change your life, to be real. I mean, that's why they call them a lick. It's that sweet. But this lick was different. I never forget, of November of 2005, we approached a drug dealer's back door of his apartment. We crept up these stairs and we knocked on the door. And it was this guy. He was an Hispanic guy. And he opened the door just barely. Before he did that, he asked who was it. We both camouflage jackets, flight jackets. You remember the flight jacket with the fur across the hoodie? I'm talking to the wrong people. Y'all ain't gonna be real. And they had the fur across the front. We had ski masks on. I've never in my life have had the type of boldness or courage or an audacity to do what I'm about to do. Never. I'm still so scared that the guy that I'm with is the only one that got a pistol. I'm just standing there because I don't know what's about to happen. We're not going to back of this drug dealer's door to even try to attempt to rob him of the coke and the drugs that's inside his house. We knock on the back door. He asks, who is it? We didn't say a word. He cracked it open. He stuck the gun to his face. We began to slide. I slid it. When he took the gun to his face, he opened the door just ajar enough for me to be able to slide through. And from that moment, my life changed. From that moment, I felt within my own body that I shifted from one world to another. You can stop selling drugs. You can just put the pack down and you can walk away. But it's one thing when you invade another man's space. When you walk into another threshold of a dimension that you don't know what's liable, capable to happen on the other side. From that very moment, his mother was there. We went in, shotguns, pistols, toted up, asking what the dope was. We took it. There's a scripture that I ain't trying to get too deep on y'all, but there's a scripture that tells me after this robbery and we get back to splitting up our pitch, our lot, or whatever. It's a scripture that reminds me that there's no honor among thieves. I never forget that because from that very moment, and I didn't get my share of the work that I put in, it reminded me of that. From that very moment of 2005, I've been still thinking about that very moment, that there's no honor among thieves. 2 and a half later, knock on my door, detectives come to pick me up from some informants and some other stuff. Y'all know how the paper trail go, that I was involved in a robbery. End up getting charged, end up getting indicted, out on pending charges. My grandmother's going hysterical. Of course, every day, where you going? That's going to be my accountability partner. Every day, where you going? It's, when you get in trouble one time, that's all it takes you to get in trouble one time. And they just fixed on where you are and what has happened with you. By the time that I was the age of 9 years old, 87% of my immediate family had all been to prison or had pending charges. Mother at the age of 12 years old, after she birthed me, had to continue to go in and out of the juvenile detention centers all the way up to current date now. She's still in and out of prison. I got an uncle that's serving life prison right now for allegedly rape. I got another uncle that's serving life right now for molestation of his own daughter. My family has been a sword that has swiped through our family for years of incarceration, in and out of jail. I got a first cousin right now that is serving a murder charge up at Central Prison in Raleigh, North Carolina, that he's probably been there about 4 or 5 years himself, and he has the rest of his life without the possibility of parole. So when it comes to incarceration and being confined, when it comes to my language and to be talking in my space, it's nothing of the norm. And when I talk to many other families like I do on the regular, they be like they're frantic because their baby or their daughter or their son has got a charge or have gotten in trouble. And to me, it was like in the beginning, like join the crowd. So a lot of us get ready. Oh, we dealing with charges or dealing with imprisonment. But to the one who has never, like Robert was just sharing, could have never thought of a crime or getting in trouble. It's never been your feet. Would never imagine myself getting locked up. Could you only imagine? And then here all of a sudden, someone who's very close to you, you would feel like that yourself. Because my grandmother, her son, her brother, and her daughter, and myself, and my first cousin right now have all been to prison or serving time. You know what that feels to her? She's doing time with us. She was the only one that wrote letters. She was the only one that sent money. Could you imagine? She was the only one that came to visitations. And no matter how far I was from home, guess who was coming to see me every other Saturday? My grandmother. She'd find her ride. She'd trickle on down the highway. So oftentimes, and I share this to those of you viewing online, that even though you may be in a space now where you're still doing your own journey, your own thing, you still say, man, I ain't ready to put it down yet. And that's fine. But I want you to understand that your actions not only dictate you, but those close to you. Your decision that you can make that can affect tomorrow or could affect your freedom can also affect those that are close to you. Not only will you weep having to go to prison, but your daughter, your son, your mother, your father, they're going to weep. They're going to weep with you. I never forget the day I was walking in the courtroom and I knew I was about to go to prison. I said, man, I'm about to go to prison. I couldn't even fathom the magnitude. I said, man, I'm about to go serve time. Walked through the courtroom. My grandmother was walking beside me. She was hunching on her cane. She was getting out of the aisle. We walking in this thing. I felt like I was on death row walking with her. We get down to the aisle. We get to the front. And we sit up. And the judge asked me through the long perimeter. He asked me to stand. He stood up and he read me my verdict. As they put me in cuffs and I was walking towards the back, all I heard was, Chris! This loud scream sent shivers down my spine. That scream halted everything in my body. That moment, I'll never forget, made my knees buckle. That scream echoed in that courtroom for about 15 seconds. When she yelled my name, that moment wasn't that she was yelling my name or the fact that I'm leaving, going to a place to where we're about to be separated. But the way she screamed my name hit me in a moment's time that, man, you need to hope in life. Like when you walking out and you got your somebody younger with your child, you know, when you about to cross the street, they don't look left or right like you and I know to. They just about to just dash across the street. You just scream whatever you can do to get their attention because they are out of arm's reach. You don't want to, whatever's coming, to hit them, to hurt them. And that's the way she screamed my name that day in that courtroom. And I never forget. And I was wanting to cry. My eyes got teary so bad, like they always do when I talk about it. And I wanted to cry and scream back out so loud, but I held it together. Stood up tall, picked my chest back out, and I picked my head back with those handcuffs on. That bailiff grabbed my shoulder. And my grandmother was just standing by. I could feel her eyes literally on the back of my neck. Hairs stood up on my neck. And she screamed my name. Said, son, you need to halt in life because you're moving too fast. I get back to the back of the inner corridors, leading to the holding cell. And that bailiff snatched me. He said, man, don't you never let them see you cry. And I looked back at him with a slight bite on my lip. And I answered him in the back of my mind. Said, man, I need to cry because I'm in a place where y'all don't allow men like me to cry. And I told Robert this months back that I've been holding on. I held on to that same cry deep for 6 long years because I was in a place to where I needed to cry, but I wasn't allowed to. And I was so broken, being 20, 21 years old, going into a system that is new to me, that I knew nothing about. I barely knew myself, didn't know my identity, nor my purpose. I gonna have my grandmother by my side, no longer to snatch me back to reality. I don't know my mom, and my dad was never at the time in the picture. And you're asking me to go into another world that's full of nothing but con artists and rapists and thieves and liars and manipulators and go into this world with them where they are designed, where they are creative and line in getting you out of your real self. You're asking me to go live with them and find my purpose at the same time. You're asking me to go into this hellhole and come back out and be creative. You're asking me to go into a system that's designed to break me. You want me to come home and be a man and be somebody, and walk out with my chest up. But yet I'm walking into this world needing to cry. That's why we're broken. To share that a place that was orchestrating and breaking me down, I used it for my advantage to let it build me just a little bit, to build me up. It wasn't something, prison taught me some stuff that Harvard University probably couldn't teach me. Prison taught me a language that HBC schools probably could have showed me. But man, prison taught me some things that, you know what, my grandmother might have would have said or might have didn't say. But prison taught me to be Christopher Bolden. And I'm thankful that not only did I went through it, but God went with me. While I was in prison, I had a vision. Never, ever wanted to be a pastor, never wanted to ever really do ministry. I was birthed into it, but I was at a place to where I was in there, man. I had left, me and God had just chilled. Watch me on my times. So when I was in this place, I began slanging and selling dope, and I began playing cards, never gambled a day in my life till I went to prison. And lowball is actually pretty fun. And then I began doing these things and began really finding and trying to live life, man, trying to enjoy doing time. But I was in this moment to where I was at a place in 2008, I never forget it, hot summer day like Chi-Town. And I was in this place and I told myself, it was one Sunday night, and I was done. I said, I felt like I've done everything that I could do. I'm just tired of this life. And I told God, I said, man, you know what? If you can fix my brokenness, I do my best to serve you. It ain't gonna look perfect, but I do what I can do. You can just coach me through this thing. I promise you I'll serve you. I travel, I'll speak at men's events. I'll no longer keep speaking affirmation for them, but I'll speak affirmation to their life. That Sunday, I had a smoking problem, y'all. I could not stop smoking. Y'all hear me? I couldn't stop smoking. And little green things. I could, see, I had a, can I speak plain? Can I be real? See, I'm hoping this is a safe space. I got my coffee. I mean, I'm ready. So look, I like to smoke, bro. I like to, we doing time. We trying to get our minds right? I mean, I'm trying to stimulate, how Greg said it. So I was trying to really center in and, what we use nowadays, get my vibe and my energy right. You know how the girls, whatever they say, I just thought it was cool. So I'm trying to center in and get that. So I had a smoking problem. I couldn't get it, I couldn't get up off this thing. Talked to the Lord. I said, look, man, let's do this. I said, if you can deliver me from smoking, bro, I serve you. I put him up to the task. I put Jesus. I said, Lord, I know what it feels like to be on trial. Let me give you a shot. I said, if you can deliver me from smoking, I said, man, you know what? I'll serve you. And from that very moment, that Monday morning, I woke up to a brother that was near me in the locker rooms. And if any of you probably ever been to prison, don't know a prison. In prison, you cannot smoke indoors at the time. You can't smoke, period. Now, the brother was between two lockers trying to get him a hit, trying to smoke. And I woke up gagging, tripping out, bro. And I'm like, man, what you doing? You smoking? He's like, you all right? I'm like, bro, there's smoke. He looked at me like, bro, but you smoke. I'm like, you know what? I don't think I do no more. Total transformation from that very moment. I haven't touched it since. You hear that? That was a nice dramatic scene behind what I just said. So, it's total transformation. It's total transformation from that. That was crazy. Look, it ain't done nothing all day, and then bam. But hey, bro, you ever had I got some oil in my bag. I think. So look, that was good, Rob. That was good. I think Rob needed it back. That was good. So total transformation. And haven't touched it. So God began to really just do like little breadcrumbs to the table of showing me, man, I'm real. I'm here. I can help you. I can take you through this thing. And the parts of that, when I began to really do it, woke me up in the middle of the night. About a year later, and I say this, I'm going to give y'all these life hacks. I'm done. And the part of the middle of the night, I'll never forget, I was beginning to really just search, like me, the inner me. We were talking about eternal conflict. You brothers been talking about some good stuff, this whole conference. But there's going to be a day where you're going to have to really face your mirror. Let's just be real. I know we talk about, y'all done read the book, The Man in the Mirror and all that good stuff. But there's going to come a day, if you haven't yet, and that's what conferences are for, to realign and redirect you back to the mirror. Because sometimes we move away from the mirror. But when you come to these conferences and these engagements and your accountability people, mentors, your mentorship, they are to refocus you back to the mirror, to face who you are. And I'm in this place where I'm really facing my mirror. I'm in my place. And God gave me a vision this night. I'm going to share this vision with y'all. I woke up in the middle of the night. I was waiting on it to happen. God, I thought it was going to happen. I woke up in the middle of the night and the whole camp, the whole prison was on fire. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I thought I was at my place. The whole camp was on fire. Men was running, screaming. The whole place was abrupt, watching steel metal beds melt. I thought I was at my place. This was the most scariest nightmare, dream, vision I've ever had in my insane life. Then when I tell you I was so petrified and so scared, the only thing that could remind me or torment me was my memory, my mind reminding me of what my grandmother said. Don't do this. People calling me, hey, bro, let's go hang out. And I knew I shouldn't have went. Or the times I should have stayed. Or the times I should have been praying. The times I should have been doing this. I had no business hanging out with them. My mind, my memory kept reminding me. And I'm just sitting there on this bed while everybody's in bulging flames. Wonder how in the world did this happen? But for a moment, I stood up and noticed while the men was gashing and screaming, running to and fro, I wasn't on fire. As I'm walking down the dormitory, walking towards outside, I'm looking at men just screaming, just laying on the floor. They reaching their hand up. I'm looking at brothers. I said, man, I know him. He just burning. But this was the most awkwardest, scariest dream. And I'm pinching myself like, Lord, please, somebody wake me up. And I'm walking. And as I got outside, I noticed that there were men just running. The whole place, trees on flames. I said, man, this is crazy. I said, this is hell. And I'm walking, and 2 or 3 men I noticed was reaching towards me, but they wasn't reaching at me. They was reaching at what I had in my hand. And at that very moment, I noticed that I didn't know the first time that I had a bottle of water in my hand. When I looked at the water and I looked up at the label on the water, it said salvation. And that's when the moment spoke to me. Quench their thirst. And ever since then, I've set my heart, my engagement on men finding their purpose and a relationship with God. Vulnerability will take you places that pride won't mention. Vulnerability will take you places that pride wouldn't even think about. One of the key successes in life after prison is you being vulnerable enough to admit not only your wrongs, but to admit that I'm still progress and I'm developing and I need to get where they are. But yet, can you do it with an anchor on your back that says the letter F? Because not only how I'm trying to strive to be successful isn't determined by the factors of dollars that's in your bank account. It's not success determined by the car that you drive or the type of gas that you put in it. Success is not determined by the type of bags that you carry on your shoulders, nor the clothes and the shoes that you wear on your feet. The success is determined of how much determination that you got impregnated within yourself that I am ready to birth to the world. Don't worry about the size of your child. Just worry about delivering it. And if you can deliver the dreams and the vision that's birthed within the side of you, then can I tell you, that's broken and changed, and that it's success. Don't worry about how world compares and magnifies Trevor's success to what we got and how we make it look good on IG versus to what you have. Because I'd rather take $10 and sow it into investments of being better than to take my $20 and give it to the world that I won't see anymore. Because I had to remind myself that life is like but a vapor. And if I could be gone 6 years again today, then I got to remind myself these next 6 years that God gives me, I got to make the best of it. Because anything is liable to happen at any time. I got 4 things for you note takers. I'm in school studying psychology. So y'all got to bear with me because I'm a note taker at heart. So whenever I speak or I say something, I got to give you an application for you to be able to use. Is that the right principle? I mean, you tell when you do your roles and you go through the classrooms and you're monitoring, observing your teachers, you make sure they give an application with their information. And they're right. I'm just making sure. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But I want to make sure I give a little bit of application because if you're going to come to this conference and you get back home and your girl looking at you and says, baby, what you learned? And you like, man, God, it was so good. They had so many speakers. She was like, but you ain't writing nothing down. You ain't taking no pictures and stuff. I mean, what's going on? So I'm giving you a chance to win. First off, when you get home. Come on, let's do number one. I'm going to give you a chance to win. First off, when you get home, because I don't want you getting in trouble coming up here fooling with me and Rob. I don't want you getting in trouble fooling with us. So I'm going to give you a chance to really win and be successful at the life because this information I'm about to give you may not be for you, but you may experience it with a loved one, a family member, or a close friend that you may have, or their family may be experiencing with it. Say, look, I want to recommend you to a source or some help or some tools that kind of helped us. So I want to give you success indeterminate by age or gender. It's the passion to see yourself win. Success isn't determined by your age or gender. Never feel like you're too old in this thing. Never feel like you're counted out. That's not success. Or that it's the passion. What's your drive when you get up? What's your fuel that wakes you up in the morning? What's your drive? What you're passionate about? What if that very thing, if it was taken from you, how would you survive? If it was taken from you at this very moment, what would you do next? I always tell preachers, because I do a lot of leadership, pastoral conferences and stuff like that. I always tell the pastors, if the pulpit was snatched from you, who would you be? I mean, what's your story? Because I believe in God doesn't just make us products of consumers, He makes us stories. So when I read the Bible, I don't read the Bible of just people who preached in pulpits. I'm reading stories of people who had real life and real situations that needed check. I'm so glad it's raining. I don't care about y'all what y'all think. I'm glad it's raining out there. It was hot. All right, so the test is the passion to see yourself win. Temporal desires never outweigh the sacrifice. Here's number one for your future. Temporal desires never outweigh the sacrifice for your future. I want to talk to everybody in the room for a second. Here it is. You know what? These temporal things that look good for the moment now, it won't outweigh what you can have later. If I can just keep myself still for a moment, man, I don't need this right now. Even though it looks good and I want it, I can wait it because it ain't gonna outweigh the outcome of what I can have better for my future. Temporal. Number two, I'm moving quickly. Focus is your determination. When I came home from prison, I had focus. I had passion and I had focus. No matter it was in bite sizes, I knew that the elephant got to be taken down by one bite at a time. Your focus is your determination. If you have when I talk to people and they got a lot of ideas and a lot of goals, I said, let's focus on just one. If you got a lot, well, I want to do this, I want to do that. You know why we're so complacent, so stagnant, and so confused? Because we're looking back like, man, I got so many, I don't know where to start. If you can just focus on one and master that takes you, because I believe everything, our life, our vision, our goals, to be honest with you, they're all connected to each other. But if you try to do one and the seventh one first, they're not connected. You got to do 1 to 2. So if you can just focus on one, your one leads you to your next opportunity. I'm going to say that again. One, your first focus on the one leads you to the other goals that you got on your checklist as well. So if you just focus on the one, and you so much, well, I got to get to this and I want to do this. No, just do one because one going to lead you if that's next. It's going to lead you to that. I had to come home with that patience. I came home with it. They didn't have no license. Look, I came home broke, bound, disgusted. I ain't had no license. I ain't had no car. I ain't had no job. I had like 4 outfits to my name that I had got from the prison that they give us, that they had charity in the back. I came home with it. They had bar soap to my name. I ain't had no J's on my feet. I ain't had no none of that. I came home to stay with my grandmother. And she ain't had no car. She had a broke van at the time. And she was on disability. And she couldn't move like she used to when she was up and down the road coming to see us in prison all them years. Now I'm home facing the reality. Guess what? I got dreams. I got ideas. But I ain't got no car to get me there. So what you do then, Chris? I got on the bus. I rode the bus around the city every day. I said, Mama, you got $1. She gave me $3. I used it to get bus tickets. Yeah, that's what I had to do. So when brothers come home from prison, I'm connected with them. I said, bro, what you do? I ain't got no car. But I see the city bus every day. Like, you can't sacrifice your temporal for a moment for later. You so focused on the car, you won't even ride the bus. I can't deal with people who can't deal with the small and read about your bigger. If you can't, don't despise your small beginnings because you're not where you want to be now. You working towards something. I said, man, you gotta put your focus in perspective. You gotta be determined. You gotta work with this here. Here's a quote for you. Your visions need faith, and your plans are seeds that need to be planted to grow. Prepare for adversity and let your discipline be greater than your motivation. Your visions need faith, and your plans are seeds that need to be planted to grow. Prepare for adversity and let your discipline be greater than your motivation. I got the stuff for you later. I'll drop it on you. Your vision and faith. Your visions need faith. Your visions need faith. And your plans are seeds that need to be planted to grow. Your visions need faith, and your plans are seeds that need to be planted to grow. So in other words, prepare for adversity and let your discipline be greater than your motivation. Motivation is good. Motivation is dope. I love ET. Motivational quotes that get me through the day. But my discipline is what's going to sustain. When I'm tired of being tired, my discipline is going to push me. Motivation is dope after 30 days because I'm working out. Oh, I got a new boo. I'm working out. I got to get these abs. She like a bond. I got to get tight. But when she's gone, I'm back to eating after 12. Motivation is good. But discipline will sustain you. And I bridge it there because that's what has kept me to not go back after I got out. What has not allowed me to go back to what took me to prison. The mindset, the women, the drugs, the partying, the wilding out, the wrong crowds. You know what? It's interesting now that when I put my focus in perspective, and my passion is on point, and I know who I am, and I don't care what they think, and I know what I want, and I got some discipline, the same thing that I needed to run from to stay away from because I was scared that it may lure me in, I actually run to it now because I got guidance. I know how to direct it because I have discipline. And you know what? I have so much strength at it now. And I'm never an overcomer. I'm not over it. But the reason why I can go around it now, because I'm so disciplined with the area now, is that I'm not tempted with it. I used to be tempted with it when I didn't have any direction. But now that I've centered on my passion, that is beneath me. Y'all catch it on the way home in the rain. So when I'm around people that do it, I'll come around them not only to sit with them and laugh with them and encourage them, but I want to show them that there's a new high or be up that high. Y'all ain't saying it in the room. There's a different kind of feel that I don't need to escape my brokenness. I need to embrace it and know that then there's a different kind of high that can strengthen me to develop to be better because I've been broken and changed. So I don't have to worry of trying to escape my addictions. Guess what? I just remind people that, man, you know what? I'm no different than you. The only difference is that, man, I've gone to a place to where I know what it leads to, and I've been there, and I've come out of it, and I've escaped from it. Here's your next one. I'm almost done. I ain't fooling with y'all today. Here's the next one. Make the plan. There's a quote from my book. It's that a changed mind in prison is tougher than a changed heart in the free world. A changed mind in prison is tougher than a free heart. And a changed mind in prison is tougher than a changed heart in the free world. And the reason why I say that a changed mind in prison is tougher than a changed heart in the free world where you and I exist today versus somebody with a changed mind that's in prison, because I think it's mighty dangerous to put a man behind bars And once he sober up and get his act together and he can come to grips within himself and begin to grow and develop and realign his emotions and realign his focus and find destiny and purpose within himself and begin to write that down on paper, you mean to tell me you're going to put that type of mind behind closed doors for a couple of years for him to center in and develop his craft, develop skills, become who he is, become intelligent, become crafted in what God has called him to be, and he begin to walk out into the free world? That's the most dangerous mind you ever want to bump into. They're the most successful type of people you ever find. It's somebody who's been incarcerated with a changed mind. The most successful people you will find is one that has been incarcerated, that came home with changed mind. That knows what it feels like to be broken and know what it feels like to be healed. Y'all ain't saying nothing. They know what it feels like. I know what it feels like to be single, and I know what it feels like to be married, but I can weigh my options on which one is best, and I desire passion. I desire intimacy. You pick and choose where you are in life and what fixates you, but my devotion has been where I know what it feels like to have been broken. And when I meet other broken people, I want to help you because I know I've been there before at the bottom. But you know what? It changed me. So let me help you, because I want to remind you, not everybody that goes through prison come out the same. Yeah. And everybody that I meet that has been in prison, that's the first posing question that I ask them every time is, man, how's your mental? You good? And I don't mean like you good, like we bros on the street. I mean, are you good? Because prison psychologically changes us. And not always for the good. I took the necessary precautions because there was something in me that I didn't know existed. And that was the gift in reading. And if you don't devote your time into whatever it is, the gift that's inside of you, it gets perverted while you're in there. And when you come home, you can't survive because you didn't discover who you were while you was in there. Your creativity is your greatest strength. I'm gonna leave this definition with you guys, that what being institutionalized means. I know you guys have heard it a lot. Institutionalized means. And the first definition of it is a created and controlled by an established organization, whether it be by housing or religion. The second definition is, I like this part, says it is established as a common or accepted part of a system or culture. And that's what I define in being, that I wanted to break the curse of being institutionalized when it comes to my family. And I told myself, the devil might have got all of them. I'm gonna tell y'all something, but the buck stops with me, because I ain't raising my boys and my daughter be the next statistic to go into prison and just to say, well, your daddy and your mom and your grandma and went. No. The buck stops with me. And you can encourage them. The buck stops with them. They don't have to do what their uncles done and what their mom and them had to deal with, the distress and the dysfunction, that we had to continue to repeat these cycles. Because when I looked and read this definition, and it says a common and accepted part of a system or culture, I told myself, I'm no longer accepted. I'm no longer living the definition of what the world views as being institutionalized. I'm not like that. I'm different. And when people meet you and they hear your story and they tell you this, you don't look like what you've been through. That's when you know you've broken the curse to what was spoken over your life. When I know that I'm a living factor, that I'm a transformation, that I've been broken and I've been changed, that I no longer look like what I've been through. You can stand up on your own 2 feet and say, I've been changed. I'm resurrected from what they tried to put me down, but God is using me to come up. Look, that's my time. Look, I thank y'all for that. I appreciate that. Can we give it up? I know he's about to talk. Look, can we give it up for this brother here? Look, when I met Robert, this is all sincerity, but when I met Robert, he don't even know because I never told him. But when I met Robert in 2020, I was at a point in my life where you go through seasons with this in life, period. But I was in a depression when I met him. And when he came through and was so crunk on this little thing, bro, this. I was so nonchalant, like, yeah, whatever. I'm depressed. I was fighting depression
when he reached out of a story that I wrote by me that's helping him lift up out of some stuff. But I'm in a place I didn't even want to do life anymore. I was broken. I felt broken all over again. And this brother here, man, come along. We done came alongside each other. Not only just prayed and continued to grow and build, but man, he's taken me out of a place, man. You got me to a better place emotionally, a better place healthily and healthy. And I just thank God for our relationship, man, and to be able to just to partner with him and grow and develop and do life. So do me a solid and get this guy a hand for what he's doing in the city of Chicago, lifting people up. I appreciate you, man.
Oh, man.
I gotta do it.
You got a what? Oh, okay. Listen, y'all about to make me cry up in this joint. I'm a crier.